Okay, well, it's 11:03, Maurice. I think we're going to get going. So officially, this is Benita from VITA, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And this is my program called Keeping It Real. And I like to have guests on board that really talk to the industry and keep it real with information and people that have experience and kind of how they are experiencing things. Today, we do have Maurice Whitlock from Gerbach, and he is a dental technician. And so he does bring a lot of information from the workbench and what he's experienced. So he comes in from a technician's point of view, which I always appreciate. And so today, the purpose of this is because the Gerbach system has started with their partial denture module. And when I talk to my customers and there's a lot of questions being asked, one of the key questions is, when can I do partial dentures? I have a lot of customers that say, Benita, 70% of our work is a partial denture scenario. So for them, getting into digital wasn't quite the right time yet, because when digital first came out was just a complete upper and lower. And then the evolution slowly evolved. And then we were finally able to do a complete upper against a natural lower, or the other way around. So that was really an important step for digital. And then now, with Maurice's help and Gerbach's latest module development is partial dentures, which we've been really waiting for. So I'm going to ask Maurice to just introduce himself, and he'll be able to walk us through the new module. And like I said, please use the chat box on the side, and you can ask your questions as we go through. And if it's appropriate, I can ask Maurice the question, or we'll hold off until the end, where we'll have everyone be able to turn on their mics and have a conversation with everybody. And if you want to turn on your video, you can do that as well. But yeah, we want to kind of make this interactive and informative for everybody and make it really valuable. So Maurice, could you please start and introduce yourself, and just quickly your I guess your role at Gerbach, and then introduce us to the brand new partial denture module with the Gerbach and the VITA Bionic system.
Awesome. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, my name is Mo Whitlock, product specialist and technical trainer for Gerbach. Basically means I'm there to help our customers. So it's whether it be training, installing equipment, technical support on the back end, co-traveling with wonderful folks like Benita in Canada. It's kind of dual-hatted of the different things that I do. One of the things I love to do is to teach and to talk. So I'm going to try to keep this 45 minutes to an hour. But I really want to show you guys some of the tools. So my plan, or my background. So I'm a technician. That's all I've ever known. I served 21 years in the U.S. Air Force as a dental lab technician. CDT, love everything digital, dental. That's kind of my world. I will tell you, I started off learning all this by hand, a traditional way, which I'm thankful for, because it allows us to take digital and even enhance what we've already learned. So really, digital allows, whether you've done it for 30 years or 10 years or 3 weeks, adding the digital aspect really enhances that offering and that workflow in your setting. So today, really what I want to do is I want to show you the partial framework, design structure, and then tying into how digital you want to be. So we have some customers that they want to design and mill the partial, and then the saddles, the bases and the teeth, they still want to do that by hand and customize with wax and denture teeth. What I can tell you is my goal today is to show you the workflow, but then show you also the flexibility. So really there's some companies that'll tell you, this is the way we do dentures. This is the way we do partials. What we believe at Gerbach is that in order to take care of all of our customers, we give you the platform and you decide which is best for you. So we have folks already that are completely digital, designing the pink acrylic portion, bonding in the VITA the #1 teeth, the VITA teeth. So but we have these options, and that's what I want to show you today. So I don't have a lot of slides. I love, like Benita said, I'm a talker, I'm a shower. I like showing the design and going through it, and not kind of boring you guys with a bunch of slides, or so we'll jump right into it. Benita, you got anything to add before we go into design?
No, that
Okay.
sounds good. And then while Maurice is going through the design, I have a couple of the products here that will help you visualize what's happening behind the scenes or in the milling machine, or what Maurice is referencing. So I'll be able to support that through the discussion as well.
And I will tell you before we get started, our software is ExoCAD based. So we've basically taken ExoCAD and customized it for our workflows and our equipment. But if you've used ExoCAD before, this is going to look pretty familiar to you. If not, it's really easy. It's very easy to use the software. So I'm going to show my screen now, and we will get started. Okay. Can you see my main screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right, just making sure everybody's on the same page, because it's not highlighted. But as long as you guys can see it, we can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah,
so
chat box is clear, so I think everyone can see it, Mo. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so this is our main database entry. So we start off with every case of what we're going to do. So you see over here we have the client, which is usually the doctor, patient name below, and then the technician designing over here on the left. We have note section that you can leave notes and share between whoever. Maybe there might be somebody scanning and somebody designing different. So it's just another side of communication. I've already started generating this, but I'll show you how we do this. So I selected tooth number 31. Oh, I should have switched this over to FDI.
That's okay. We can figure it out.
I've learned
that's just, Maurice, quickly, that's important because you can change the numbering system to be, this is the military system, and then we can go to 1121. So within the software, it's totally flexible to adapt it to whatever system you're using, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We can switch it back and forth.
Nice.
With a click of a button. Okay, so we'll start here. And once I select that, I go and I'm telling I'm doing a partial framework. Like Benita said earlier, we have our full dentures, we have our single arch. The removable side has just grown in the last few years. I'm really excited that we have this offering. So now we selected partial framework. I'm going to select my material right here. So we've had a direct partnership with Solvay Altair as far as framework material, but when we do this, you're not limited to just that material. We just have a specific strategy for this particular hybrid material that generally falls under the peak pectin categories. So it's the same milling strategy. Within here, we're doing a lower, and we're going to do a lingual apron. So I'm going to select lingual apron. I can change my block out angle. I can change how thick I want the base, retention thickness. And once we get into design, you'll see, because you can also change it in the design software. Here, would be my standard. So let's say your standard thickness, you want 3 millimeter for everything. You can change it here, and you never have to change it in design. But we'll go ahead and use the standard. And so you'll notice this particular case, this is my dental area on both sides. And then so we have our adjacent teeth. And when I bring in the model, you'll see what that looks like. So we're going to go straight to mind. And what we're going to do is we're going to virtually place our teeth. So it's a little different than digital. Allows us to do things that we can't do analog. I can't have teeth floating over my model and hovering over that. I have to have something stationary. What's nice about being able to do this digitally is, let me line this up. I'm just adjusting my scan orientation right now. And just to give you a little bit background on the software, this wizard on your left you see walks us through every single step and explains what it's looking for. Sometimes the scan comes in upside down if it's a intraoral scan, but I'm just gonna line this up and go next. And now you see it says place tooth models 28 to 31. If I ever get confused, you can always go back to here, look at my tooth number, and I'm gonna do mesial, so it says mesial contact of 28. So I go over where 28 is gonna contact, click left, then I bring this over here.
Wow.
And click right. So this is the beauty of digital, because I can't hover. I can't hover teeth over a stone model. And don't worry, I'm going to adjust that. All we're doing is getting the teeth in place, and then we're going to have tools to be able to adjust that in the right position. So I click on my mesial contact there, left click, and now I have my teeth placed initially. Now, I'm gonna go back for a second to show you guys something. I can change my teeth and add different teeth. So, and this is where it goes to options. So let's say I'm talking to Benita, and I said, you know what, I wanna use these VITA teeth for this process. I can take those VITA teeth, drop those in there, and now those are actually positions of the teeth that, what's nice about that is I already have that design, so I'm not kind of guessing, you know what I mean? I'm actually using those teeth to work with. All right, so we'll go next. All right, so now that I have my teeth in there, I can start moving this a little better in position. So let's say I wanted to hold this one. I can move that up.
So you can move whole sections or individual teeth, which is.
Yep. So right now I'm in chain mode right here. And I usually do chain mode first to kind of get it in the general direction to get, so like if I hold this and I grab this, I can make this smaller. And move those in. I can move the whole thing up. Then once I get it pretty close, then I'll get picky and I'll go to simple, and then I'll adjust that individual tooth. And I won't waste a lot of time. I'll make it pretty, but I won't spend as much time as I normally, because I really want to get you guys, show you the process instead of just, you know, this embrasure needs to be a millimeter thinner or, you know, closed. It's more showing you guys the tools.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll go next. Now it gives me even more tools. So what I like, so you see this adapt button, I'm going to adapt to gingiva. And what's really cool, actually, let me turn it. Oh no, it's a solid model. What I'm gonna do is adapt to gingiva, and it's gonna adjust those teeth for me to my gingiva. Now, keep in mind, we're gonna be putting this over a framework. So this initial scene is more of a pre-op. It's not really the actual teeth. It's giving me a visual, so when I design my framework, I know where I want to put my mesh. I know where I want to put my finish line. I know, you know what I mean? It gives us those tools. So all this, I could proceed with this. I'm just kind of not a perfectionist, but I just want it to look pretty, because this is really just a go by, and you'll see once we go into the partial software that this is not really what the what the teeth are going to look like, but it's my guide. Okay, that's enough. I'll be here all day playing with the software, so we'll leave it there. We'll go next. And we didn't have an opposing, so I'm just gonna adapt. There's nothing to adapt to. But if I have my opposing arch, you know, I could grind these in and really get the positioning right. But we're gonna go next. So now these are my virtual teeth that are hovering over the model. So I'm gonna design. Now I go to see where it says partial CAD design. So we take that straight into the software. I'm going to keep both files because I've done this case before, but so really right now, am I moving too fast for everybody? Is there any questions so far?
Chat box empty.
Okay. So really what that was doing was giving me, let me pull up screen. So once you hit partial CAD design, we're going to go directly into the partial software. So as you see, of course, this is not the path of insertion. So the computer still needs our touch. I always like pointing out the areas where it's not, it still needs our knowledge on this. So I'm going to set the insertion direction here. And that's what you want in blue. Now you see the teeth that I designed, they're hovering. It's just showing the shadow. That's purely going to be my guide when we start designing the mesh. All right, so we're going to go next. And so while we're here, see that just like the wizard right here, you see it says survey model. That's the step we're working on. It gives me the tools. If I wanted a different angle than 3 degrees, that I can change that right there. So, you know, traditionally we're breaking out the surveyor right now and the wax and we're identifying undercuts. The software with the click of a button while we're talking has already identified those undercuts for us. So that's where I always like to show customers, you know, I've worked and been around some really talented denturists, denture specialists, and you know, it's one of those things where I show them the fastest surveyor in the world is not faster than clicking a button. And I you know what I mean? We're talking right here. I click the button, and then all of a sudden we have all of our blockout, all of our undercuts. But that talented person knows where these undercuts should be and the amount. So it's a combination of that analog skill and utilizing digital to speed up the process. So for example, now I'm clicking the button, and in a couple seconds, I'm going to have my surveyed model and ready to block out my undercuts or identify my undercuts for my class. So we'll check. Let me see if we have any questions yet so far from there.
Nope. Chat box is empty.
Yeah, I'm either I'm doing okay or putting people to sleep. We'll see which one. So
well, you know, this is the first time I've seen this software, and it's actually pretty cool. So I'm like floored with all this stuff, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, if that's the way I'm feeling, I hope everyone is feeling the same, because this is super cool.
It is really slick. Yeah, it's really awesome. Yeah, I really like it. And this has grown. Like the beta version we first tried out, I did not like it. It wasn't smooth, and they improved it, and now it's where it's fun to demo. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All right. So we get to identify our undercuts. So we have our blockout model in a couple of seconds, and now we go here and identify our undercuts. So you can change the amount of undercut you want. This will be a good time for me to show you our little Wikipedia. So if you hit the question mark down here on the bottom, this opens up and explains. And our German friend here, we can switch it over to German, and you can even get, it'll explain every single tab, what it means, the effect it has for every step. So when you see this software, oops, there we go. That's what it's for. That's our little our Google or Wikipedia button. So I'm gonna come over here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start virtually removing wax until I get my undercut. All right, then I come over here to this side, and it's the same thing. I just start taking away till I identify my undercut here. So we'll do 2 clasps just to save time. Once you see them, it's the same process for each one.
Sure.
Okay, so now it says, you see we're on draw bar and mesh. So I'm going to start here. This is my lingual bar. If you make a mistake, you see I made a little bit of mistake here. I'm just gonna edit. Click on that and let's bring that up a little bit. And now let's do our mesh.
It's interesting because a lot of the comments I get, and some of the fear behind digital is that we will lose our ability to be creative and that we're no longer making it ourselves. But I think this is a really good example to everyone that you really don't. It's just done in a virtual form. And you can see Maurice is still designing the saddle. He still did the clasp undercut. There's still a lot of personal adaptation that you can do. And this is a partial denture. It's even the same with a full denture, complete upper, partial lower, this type of thing. So you can see there's still a lot of ability to make this a very familiar process to you. Instead of your wax knife, it's your mouse.
Exactly.
So I just want to say that this has been quite interesting for me to see as a technician, and a denturist, we're all control freaks, and we're giving this up to artificial intelligence. Well, yes, to a certain extent, where the software drops in the teeth, it gives you a suggested setup for your teeth against the opposing, but you still have the ability to customize it as much as you want. Or maybe
Exactly.
You like the fact that you don't have to do anything and it's click, 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 and you trust the process and you let it do its thing. So it's nice that there are those 2 abilities.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Benita. And what I've told people, and it's the same thing with CAD CAM. I would show customers this, and initially they're like, you know what, I can wax up a crown faster than it's taking me to design a crown. And I go, that part will come in time. The difference is the greatest denturists in the world is still waiting on stone to set up. They're still waiting on, if I'm packing this denture, or injecting, I'm still pouring stone and waiting on stone. The amount of time we're waiting on one of these sets to set up, we're gonna have this whole thing done and start milling. So it's not taking away the talent. It's taking away all the other stuff outside of the talented part, because there's no talent in stone setting up. You know what I mean? There's talent in mixing.
I love that quote, though. It's not taking away the talent. I really like that.
Yeah, it's taking away all the excess time. You know what I mean?
I love it. Yeah, that's a great statement, actually. Yeah, I love the polka dot. Is that one of the effects that we get?
Yes. Yes. We can turn this.
Oh wow. Yeah.
We can rotate this. We can make those holes bigger. See the hole size. We can change the hole size. We can change the thickness of the wax. We can change the relief wax for tissue stops. That's kind of deeper when we actually do the training, when the customer purchases that. We go a little deeper into all the extra
Sure.
fun stuff, or, you know, all the extra details. The pattern, we can change it to smooth, round, square, leather. I mean, there's all kinds of cool tools we can use on here. So here we can rotate this. So for anybody that's anybody that's OCD on this group today, we'll line them back up in the same line. I've trained a customer that it drove them crazy that the lines were different on both arch. You know what I mean? I was like, it's going to be covered by acrylic, but still, it didn't matter.
The other thing I just want to say, we don't have opposing upper dentition, but if we did, the software would be working those teeth into the best occlusion possible. And then when it's milling the teeth, it will mill the bite in along with the saddle surface for the framework. Just
Yes,
to kind of understand if you would have opposing upper for this, but for the speed of the demonstration, we've let that go.
Yep, because it's a couple extra steps, but that part is the automated part where it'll adjust all that for us.
For sure.
Okay, so so we're gonna go next.
Just to comment, I had somebody comment how exocad seems to be quite user friendly and quite easy to work with. That was just
it is. It's the key. One thing I really like, it's really flexible. Like I'm not a, let's see, what's the best way? But Benita's traveled with me. I'm not a speed limit guy, and I like to have the freedom to do things. And that's what exocad allows me to do. Just so my background, my previous employment before Amon Gerbach, I worked for a CAD/CAM company, and we actually, 1 week I was a certified 3Shape instructor, and then I was also certified in exocad. So I would be jumping back and forth between the two. And there's not really a bad system out there in digital. It's a really good, I mean, there's a couple that I really don't like, but between those, the main two, the difference, they're both good systems. I like personally the flexibility, and I'll show you some of the things I mean in here that you can do that gives you that flexibility.
Yeah, it's the comments I'm getting that I've gotten through the industry is it's more of a robust system, and it really you can grow anywhere within that system with exocad, that it enables you to do a lot more in the flexibility within it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% correct. Okay, so right now we applied the bar. It looks a little rough, but I'm gonna show you how we clean that up really quick. Sometimes, like my design, I could have brought this down a little bit lower, but it's really easy to clean that up. But we're gonna go next. And we'll do like the cooking show. I'll show you one that I really spent, you know, a good hour working on. But it's the tools are exactly the same. So for here, we're gonna draw the apron. This again is totally how you guys do it. We have some people that go right here at the junction. We have some that go up and lingual plate it and go up a few millimeters. You know what? I'll do half of it like that. So we'll go up over here. And what I'm going to do is move this down so when it catches, it'll be a little smoother, so you don't have to spend as much time smoothing everything up. Okay. So it'll look a little weird because this one's more scalloped and this is plating, but that's the beauty of demos. we get to make some adjustments without.
You can toggle back and forth and change it whenever you like. That's the beauty of the system.
Yeah, so right there, if I change my mind, I go see where it says edit curve. I just edit, I click on the one I want to change, and I get and it'll adjust here.
Yep.
So let's click on that. We'll get the apron. And again, if you don't have an apron, you don't have to do that. You don't have to make that apron. you can skip it and it'll let you go right to the next step. So it's a little thick. I probably could have shrunk that down a little bit on my thickness. That's okay though. So I'm gonna show you when we get to filling all that in. We're gonna smooth all that up. Okay, so now I'm at draw my class. You see right here on the work boat. So I go here. And now we move this down so you guys can see that. We'll come right in here, engage that undercut. Then we go next. Now we're gonna apply that clasp. So this is, I'm gonna put this and show you the anterior, and we just click on the style. Since we have this plating here, I don't need one of these attachments with the arm. I'm just gonna do a loop to show you. So we click on that and it'll put that first one in there. And you'll notice when you're doing hybrid materials, the clasps are bigger. And there's a reason for that. It is because when you're doing metalless designs, it's more round. It's more round, more smooth for the bracing. Like the metal, you can go a lot thinner. This particular profile I'm showing you is because a lot of people are switching over to milling these hybrid materials. And there's some really good materials out there. One thing I would tell you just as a sidebar, there's a huge difference from someone saying it's metal-less versus metal replacement. Metal replacement, if you hear someone say this is a metal replacement, that means it adheres to certain properties that it can truly replace a metal framework. If you hear someone tell you, oh, this is a metal-free material, they're only held to the standard there's no metal in it. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at different materials. So now we're going to fill in, and I'm going to try to correct some of this extra stuff that I did. So here you see for the connector, these different heights give me different thickness of material. So let's say on my connector area, if I hit that starts filling in material where I need it. If I need it thinner, I would go, or let's say I'm doing a mesh and I want to fix some part of the mesh. I can add that thickness there, and it's the height of the mesh. So once we start smoothing this up, you'll see. I promise you, it'll look good. I'm going to add a little in here, and we'll go next. And now we get to edit, so we get to start smoothing some of this up. So you notice over here we have these 3 tools that allows me to start cleaning up some of this stuff you guys saw. So you can run that over, and I'll show you, like, for example, I want to add a little bit. So if I go in here, it doesn't add, and then I can go back to smooth and smooth that section there. This has been a huge improvement. This step was really slow before.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually how fast it is. I'm actually,
yeah, it'll smooth that. Oh, I'll show you something really cool too. So let's say I wanted to bring that hole back there in the mesh. It's kind of right there. Actually, I wouldn't bring it because it's right where I'm going to put my finish line. So I would do here. I would add and smooth it up.
Yeah, nice.
same here. I would do an add here. Then we have the smudge tool, which is kind of fun. I can go, if I wanted to straighten up that whole side, I can.
Oh, nice tool. I like the smudge.
Yeah, it'll allow you to take that away and then
Nice.
smooth that up.
Okay. Nice, Maurice. So just with the sake of time, if we can maybe just go to the next couple of screens.
Yep. I'm gonna fill this in because if it's not connected, it'll throw an error. So I'm just gonna quickly add a little bit, and then we'll jump. Actually, what I can do is grab the the one I spent a lot of time on.
Sure, we can do that. Because one of the other things Maurice is going to show us this morning before we finish is if we had an existing partial that we wanted to bring into the CAD/CAM world, how this program can also allow us to do that. So we have the two options. We have the one where we can go into a metal-free framework or I guess metal replacement, depending on what we're talking about with what we're designing with Maurice right now. And it also gives us the other option. So that's, again, the flexibility of the Amann-Gerbach partial denture module system, which is really impressive.
Yep. So I'll make this not quite as ugly. We'll just make it pretty deep,
Sure.
And I will pull up the one where I've actually taken a lot of time and show you guys how it looks. All right, so we'll smooth that. We'll go next. We can do a widespread by painting this and smoothing everything in orange even more. We'll skip that to save time, but that's just a smoothing tool. My finish line will go right here. Let's just put one here. Put one there. And now I'm going to rotate this. I'll do one side to save money. Oh, didn't mean to do that. That did show a function you can do, though. You see how you can adjust that even if you didn't like the way you originally put it. And then I could keep rotating this to whatever degree you want that to fit on your profile, and it'll give me the opportunity to go back and adjust that. Not only adjust, but adjust the angle and then smooth that in. I'll show you here in a second. So if you wanted, see where it says add part. So if you had an STL and you wanted some posts, some retention posts, like in the anterior region, you can add posts there. You can, but that is what I mean by the flexibility is you really can, whatever your imagination is, really, not to sound like a commercial, but if I wanted to add different retention beads here, I can add retention beads. So many steps there's so many cool things you can do in addition to just the regular workflow. So we'll go next. Now it gives me a chance to edit wax. So if I wanted to come in here, I go in, add a little bit there, and now I smooth. And now my area, oh, didn't mean to do that. Let me undo that. There we go. Undo is a favorite button. So we smooth that. So you have your finish line for your material. And now we build. What I like to do is save refractory. Just so it's going to add, you just save that. So it's going to save that to the full case. And now I can save the build. And it's going to create that STL of the framework. There's a little more stuff I would do. Like, for example, if I was the last part, I would take the model off and then kind of smooth some of these edges up. Actually, I'll do it real quick. How are we looking on time?
We have about 15 minutes left.
Okay, all right. I better speed it up then. Okay, so now that case is saved. The RPD is saved. Let's bring up. My laptop is acting up. Let me go back in and grab that case real quick.
Okay.
So we'll go. So this is back on that main database screen. So everything we did, this is what I mean about exocad. Everything we did and saved is different steps on here. So if you look at, if I wanted to look at the actual partial, I could bring in the partial, or let me show you another way. That's kind of more of the advanced way. So there's two. One of the tricks I want to show you is if you already have an RPD, what you can do in the software. And I'll pull it up real quick.
Okay.
So here, I'm going to go load scan data. This is the beauty of exocad. So
oh, wow.
I now have I could have the partial separate, you know what I mean? If I want to bring that in as just the partial, but if I bring in the model and the partial, I now can go and design my gingiva, have my teeth brought in. There really is no, this step here, and it's just saving. So let me go back and show you. So if I go, well, let me see if the partial software is built in. Done. That's still building. I don't know why that's taking so long to build. Let me bring up the other one that I did.
Okay. So the other thing that Maurice is using, it's called an Alienware computer. You need like a gaming laptop computer to run these programs, just for those of you who are wondering, what does it take to have some sort of digital software? You couldn't do this on an iPad, right, Mo?
No, yeah, it needs a lot more power. Yeah. So even mine, I have a gaming laptop, but now I'm getting to the point where I need to upgrade, because it's definitely slowing down.
Yeah. Oh.
So here is an RPD that I took my time, you know what I mean? Did all the smoothing, made a nice finish line, smoothed up the clasp, and you notice it has your reduction area for your acrylic. So that's taken some serious time in doing each step. Under that same scenario, let me show you one of the cool things you can do. Actually, if you got a scanner, what a lot of our customers are doing is they're scanning the partial on the model, after, like the first screen I showed you where you had the model and the RPD at the same time. So I'll bring that in.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of digital. It has it doesn't know, it just knows what data you give it is what it is going to treat it like. So for this case, I would scan the model with the partial on it, and then I just I tell it I'm doing a ponic with some gingiva, and it actually creates my pink gingiva areas, places my teeth on there, and I proceed forward with the case. Do we got time at all?
We have a few more minutes, and then we're going to switch over to some Q&A if we have any questions.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it real quick that way.
Sure.
But I just wanted to show you guys really the main part was the RPD software, that workflow, but the abilities outside of that, you don't want to limit. So if you got people, you know, you might have somebody that's got their foot halfway into digital and they're still doing this. So imagine if you did this part by hand and you still scanned it in, I can digitally design my flange area with my saddles, with my teeth, and bond those in under the traditional digital workflow.
Sure.
So key is just the flexibility to be able to do that. As you can see, I brought both of those in. If I do, I'll show you another cool thing. If I do, let's say here, so you see this particular one is, I'm telling it it's a VITA Vionic denture. That way I can use the VITA teeth, bond those teeth in, all digitally, all reduced already. I don't have to do any reduction. So I'm going to tell it for a second that we have a pre-op model, just to show you something really cool in the software. So this is, again, where I'm talking about flexibility. So I just told it it's a pre-op, so I'll go mind.
And Ceramil Mind, that's the name for the software, is that right?
Yes, yeah. Mind is our software design, which is ExoCAD, and then we kind of gear it towards our equipment.
Sure.
Okay, so for the lower jaw, I'm just gonna say upper. And then for my pre-op, I'm gonna put in the partial. So there's my upper model. There's my partial. See how that fits perfect, fits digitally, everything's lined up. I can then save this as an STL, and that becomes digitally my working model that I make my final restoration with my saddles and my teeth.
So we have a question. Can you print that and do a try-in?
Absolutely. Great. That was my next step that I was telling you about. So the beauty of, like we said earlier, of flexibility is anything on the screen, I can toggle on or off. And this one trick I'll show you, especially if you ever use ExoCAD, you right click, save scene, and you change it to a raw STL. I can name it whatever I want. We'll call it VITA. Save visible objects. That's now its own separate STL. If I said, okay, you know what? They called me and said, Mo, hey, I designed this, but I want to try this framework in. I bring in my pre-op. If they want it on that model, I can toggle off the model. There's my STL. Right click, save scene, plain STL, and call it test print.
Right. So you could also put in the flange, you can put in the teeth, and you could print it in an ivory colored material, and you could do kind of a nice try-in framework and teeth together if you wanted.
Yeah, yeah. Even to take that a step further, what I could do is, so I have these two together. This is my merge model. I designed my flange over here on each one, put my teeth in, and then the same principle, I toggle off everything. I toggle what I want to print or mill. So let's say I got my teeth, I toggle off the teeth, I toggle off the model. Here's my gingiva. We'll pretend that's the gingiva. Save that, print it.
Okay.
Or you can mill it. Or you can mill it. Yep.
Yeah. So just quickly, I wanted to just share with the group for the teeth that Maurice is talking about. So within the Amann-Girrbach system, you can actually use 3 brands of teeth. VITA, of course, and I mean, I hope that's would be your choice, but it's not always the best for you. So there's also the Baltic material that you can use, the Baltic teeth, and also the Kulzer. So you have 3 brands of teeth that you can use. So just to show you what the VITA teeth look like. So this is what a VITA tooth card in digital looks like. So it's mounted and waxed up in a frame that you would put into the milling machine arm, and that would go and mill the teeth to fit in the partial or the full denture. So the milling machine starts on one side, and you can see that this half is milled away to fit the surface. And then what has taken so long is for the software to be able to flip that arm to be able to mill the occlusal surface as well. That's what we've been kind of waiting for in the software, has allowed us to do a complete upper against natural lower and also partial dentures. So now that the software can flip the arm around, we're able to mill the occlusion, so we can mill in the bite, and also the basal surface where we can mill in the fitting surface on a partial framework or also a full denture. And then this, I'm just showing you a full denture, but what you would do for a partial is you would nest in your framework. You could get 2 saddles out of here, and then you could save the tongue area and reuse that pink disc to fit in whatever you need. Just, it's the nesting program to be able to utilize an entire disc efficiently. And then Maurice mentioned a couple times of bonding, and this is one of the key things to the VITA Vionic system is our Vionic bond, which is a liquid and a liquid, and you pour this into the jar, you mix it around, and you take a microfiber brush, and your pockets are, and everything is sandblasted that needs to be bonded, and you apply this was like sandblasted them and have them ready. They're nice and clean. You are wearing gloves, and you bond the teeth with the Vionic bond, which is one of the key successes to the VITA Vionic system, and also our printed teeth, which is the VITA Vigo teeth, but those are for printed situations only. And that's the sort of the VITA process, but the cards look the same whether it's the Baltic or the Kulzer system. They're nested in a wax form and make it, all the teeth clip into the arm of the milling machine. So that's just a quick discussion on what that looks like after the software is done to bring it to finish.
Okay. Is your screen on, Benita, or is it back on the, is it mine?
I can see your partial.
Oh, okay. I thought your camera.
I don't think I switched over. I just did the little
okay.
on the side.
Okay. All right. So while Benita was explaining that, I was, I'm just, since we have a couple more minutes, I definitely want to open up for any questions. So if you guys have any questions as I'm doing this.
Yeah, start typing in the chat box. We've had a few, but keep going.
Because right now what I'm doing is adding the saddles to this framework. So you see the software is automatically blocking it out for us. And then what I did earlier is the same thing where it's says number 10, mesial contact. So now I'm putting a tooth there.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry. I just want to get it close because we're going to move everything around exactly where we need it anyway. So we'll go 6. Oops.
There we go.
Yeah. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. All right, here we go. Now, number 4. So mesial contact here. 4. So I usually don't spend a whole lot of time with those contact points because I like to go in here and move these around how I want them anyway. So let's move this in. We'll do one of those like golf to save time. We'll get it close.
Yeah.
There we go.
So just quickly, we want to talk about the virtual articulator that you were showing in that one image. So in the scanning box, you're able to choose any articulator that you have. The one that Maurice is showing is the Amon Gerbach. What is the articulators that you have in your software, Maurice?
So we have, of course, our Artex line.
Artex.
But then we don't limit that to our we don't restrict our customers. So you can always, with Exocad, download other. I don't know if it'll let me do that since I don't have an opposing. Let's try it. We'll see.
But you could. I mean, I've seen the Ivoclar articulator in there. The Stratus.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, we have a lot of different articulators. We told it only has one arch, so that's why it's not showing me the articulator.
But I just the question was there. So the virtual articulator comes with your software, but you have the flexibility to toggle into whatever articulator you happen to be using for your.
Absolutely.
There's 5 or 6. There's a Cavo, the Stratus, and
these are mine. I have loaded here, so if you guys can see my screen. I have our Artex, but then I probably have 50.
There's a Sam.
Sam 3, Zirconzon, Whitmix, Cavo, Ivoclar, Stratus 300, Hanau. There's even some of the old school ones in here. The old Hanau's on there. So yeah, it's wide open. That's what I love about our software is that we provide the full solution for our customers, but then we leave it. We don't block them out because we think as long as we make good enough stuff, we're still going to give you the option to use what you want and just hope you use ours. So
great, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so let's go back into here real quick. I promise I'll be quick. I just really want to show you this because this is really cool. Let's just shrink all this up so it won't be in the way. So please don't judge me on this design.
No, this has been giving us a good idea of what to expect. Yeah.
So
that's an ugly clasp on that cuspid. Like what?
All right. So we'll leave it like this. We'll make it really custom. So I'm going to adapt to gingiva to cut away a lot of that for me. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, this might be the fastest. Oh, that was really off. That's all right though. The main point I want is to show you this. So design gingiva. So now.
Okay.
So it gives me my individual gingiva sections for each one of these sections.
Okay.
Which is really cool for your RPD or partial software or partial for the gingiva. It treats each one individually. And I was hoping to have a good friend of mine who's a denturist in Alberta. He ended up having a couple emergency patients, but he really has taken this software and just done amazing things with it. So, because we always like to bring in, peers who are using our equipment. So it's like peer-to-peer. You can see exactly what they're using day to day. So with our gingiva here, as you can see, I haven't touched it yet, and it already gave some pretty decent initial gingiva design. I don't know what it's going to do with this tooth. We'll pretend this guy was a boxer or maybe a hockey goalie, and that tooth is a little sideways. And so if you need to make adjustments, you can move this around. And again, remember, while we were talking, it made a blockout model for us. You know what I mean? So these are the things that just, no matter what we do or how good we are analog, takes time. And this digitally blocks out exactly where we want it. And you can control how much blockout you want. And now that I have, this is giving me a visual of how thick or thin that material is. So I could go in, thicken this up. I can reduce in different areas. I could pull, I can go anatomical and actually pull those in. So the software, mainly, the main point is the software is very easy to use, very user-friendly. You can see I'm smoothing that whole section there. Do we have any questions while I'm?
Nope, we're still good with questions.
All right.
But I'm thinking, why don't we, if anybody wants to comment, you want to come on video, unmute yourself, ask the question. If you're too scared to chat in the chat box, or, you know, want to, any comments or anything, welcome any feedback from the group. So yeah, now's your chance.
So we won't shrink this since it's just going to be acrylic?
Sure.
I could shrink this if you guys, you know, let's say you wanted to add your own custom gingival material. Sure. You can shrink that and it'll cut back for you automatically.
Yeah, if you wanted to do gingival customization with a light cure material or that. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So now we'll go next, and it's gonna, so this gives me the chance, actually before that, it's gonna merge this into one restoration, but I'm gonna show you something really cool that, let's say you had a printer, and you didn't want these, you wanted all these separate units. So we've had customers that they'll shrink all of this, have this as one unit, and then add pink to it. Mm-hmm. Or if I go back here, remember that trick I showed you where you can toggle on whatever you want? So let's say I wanted, let's get rid of, if I wanted those, whatever's separate, whatever I separate, I can print out. So let's bring in the reduced gingiva. Any of these pieces you can highlight and print. If you're printing those, you can mill those. That's really where Tanner, I was wishing he could come on here, because Tanner has really perfected this process. What I'm showing you is basically, you know, how you mill these in different sections. So I have my VITA teeth right here, so I don't need to mill or print that. I toggle that off, and what I'm actually milling is my other steps.
Pink saddles, yeah.
Exactly.
I have some pictures of his work. I was going to just share with the group once your screen is off.
Yeah, I'm done. We can switch it back to yours, Benita.
Sure. Let's go here. I think you have to unshare.
Okay, let me see.
And then I will. Okay, there we go.
You on?
You're still there. Anyways, so whoops, I just have it on my camera. This is just a full partial that a local denturist has been doing with the AG system. That's the lower, and then there's the upper.
Okay, now you're on, Benita.
Okay, so there we go. So this is what the partial looks like that he was working with in the AG system. He's got it mounted and really successful with what he's been doing. And he is actually fully digital, this denturist. And he's sort of he's a denturist, dental technician. But when Maurice was talking about it, really kind of struck to me is you can go, like, how much digital do you want to be? 100%? Do you want to do some printing and then milling? You can, or you want to just do the software and send out your work to a milling center. Just this new digital world really allows you to be flexible and make it comfortable for what is good for you. So how digital do you want to be? And that was one of the key phrases that Maurice started off the conversation with, and I thought that was really powerful. And yeah, so if anybody wants to share, how far are you along in your digital journey? Anybody want to comment? I don't see any more chats in the chat room, but I know some of you out there are printing, some of you are wanting to get into printing, some of you might be milling as well, and some of you haven't even started your journey and you're still doing a lot of research, which I highly recommend, which is good for you. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up in a couple of minutes. So if you have any other comments, please put it in the chat box or unmute yourself. But I'm gonna just quickly go over what we talked about today with Maurice and just some key takeaways for myself. And again, if you have some key takeaways you can share with the group or put in the chat box, is, you know, he started as a dental technician and had some experience with that. So he was able to bring that into the digital world. And I think that's really important for us to know as dental professionals, that we are still able to adapt what we know. And we enhance the workflow within the software system. And then I think we realized how flexible the exocad really can be, and the fact that it is very robust and really being able to bring that into wherever we want it to be, and we can really grow in the exocad system. And then just where does the customer decide that they want to go on their digital journey? Mentioned that just a few minutes ago, what is your journey going to look like? Are you going to be a fully digital lab? Do you want to still have 1 foot in analog and 1 foot in digital? Does that make the most sense for you? It's really an open canvas for you to decide what your journey looks like. And you're not taking away the talent if you go into digital. It's just enhancing what you do. And just a quote from that fully digital denturist here in Alberta. He said, you know, Benita, and it was really quite a powerful statement from him. He says, I don't have to really worry about a Friday afternoon denture or a Monday morning denture. He says, because all of my dentures are 10 out of 10. Because when he puts that information into the software, when he scans the model, the bite, all of that, he knows that the computer makes it 100% perfect occlusion, because that's what the computer is trained to do. We're looking at an articulator and our wax is moving and it's shifting. There's always difference in translation between our wax up when we finally get it to process. After processing, every single time we take it out and we change something from the existing patient, that's where the dimensional change and the shift happens. With digital, you remove a huge amount of that, transforming it, and the digital base is milled exactly to what that model is. You don't have shrinkage, you don't have any of that happening in a digital world. So that was really another key takeaway. And then we learned about really talking about metal replacement or metal free. What do those terms really mean? And I think as the new digital world is coming, we really need to make sure that we understand the terminology and what we are talking about, so we're able to be intelligent and that we know what we're talking about and we're comfortable moving around in this really fast moving digital world. So I have no more chats over there. So I would just like to say thank you everyone for joining me. And if you have any questions on your digital journey, I know Maurice would be happy to answer them for you, and myself as well. Always happy to have a call with you or a visit if possible. So it's Friday afternoon here in Edmonton, Alberta. I wish you all the best to the rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. And yeah, keep it real. Thanks for having me on the show, and thanks to Maurice, and thanks for joining us today. Bye for now.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Benita.
Thanks, Maurice.